The goal here is we all just met in our division groups. I'm sure we all had great discussions, but some of the discussions I'm sure hit on some things other people would be interested in. So I'm going to ask each of the division directors to just give us that 5 to 7 and open it up for Q&A. So any division director that would like to go first, let me know. Oh, Peter, I see you're raising your hand. So Peter Pizer, you want to go first? Are you back, Peter Pizer? Peter may not be back. Shed, why don't you go first?
His hand.
Shed, the tip of the spear. I'm not surprised. Got to put yourself off mute first, Shed.
Can I share?
Please do.
All right, I'm going to share our plan. All right. So to start out first, I am excited to work with my new team. It'll be Marion, Kiyomi, Ron, and Cheryl. So I am excited to work with my new incoming area directors. And they are excited to continue to work with the past area directors. So we will have a full team there. Something that we want to do differently, we want to include our club officers and on our deck meeting, on our division deck meeting, especially the club presidents and the VPE. So we're going to open that up to them once we have our new officer list. We're going to open up that for them to get involved and hopefully find new leadership for next year for new area directors and someone to take my place in the division director. So that's how we're going to handle that. What are our division core values? We want to respect each other's time because we all understand that we have things outside of Toastmasters that we do. Timely service to our members, and excellence. Strive to be the example, the vanguard mentality, which is a group of people leading the way to excellence. So that is our core value, the vanguard mentality. We talked about some obstacles, of course, COVID-19, and we're going to run into those conflicts where you're going to have members that love Zoom, and then you'll have members that love in-person meetings. So we talked about that on how to meet both of those needs for our members. So that'll be some conflicts. And then we talked about the hybrid clubs, how to get those set up initially, because some areas, for instance, if you don't have an area that you maintain, you might have to move around every club meeting. It's going to be a little bit difficult to have that hybrid environment than someone that has a set meeting spot every meeting. And then, of course, personal conflicts with meetings that's scheduled, because once again, we all have lives outside. Well, we've all agreed with the area directors and myself, we're going to meet. We're going to start our first meeting, not the first Monday, but on a Monday in August. And then we're going to have our monthly Zoom correspondence deck meeting every month. So we're going to meet monthly. How will we resolve differences of opinion? Of course, value everyone's value of respect and group consensus. There's no majority or one person rules anything. So we're going to have a group consensus of how we're going to lean forward and always seek to understand positive intent and always ask questions. No question is a stupid question. We talked about that. Suspend judgment on one another, because we're all, we have some people that's new in this role, and some people are not. The last thing is we talked about incentives. We want to put a proposal out to the district on the divisions having a budget, so we can have those incentives for our clubs. For instance, what I did last year was the first 2 clubs that had their membership in, I gave those clubs $15 to spend however they want to. So I think if the divisions can have a budget, that would help with the incentives to get those clubs more motivated to do things as far as educational goals and membership and things of that nature. So that is a proposal that the Division T has put, and we will put that forward to the district to maybe divisions have like a little budget that we can have some motivation for our clubs. We looked at our current and past history. Currently, we have 2 of 16 clubs distinguished. Last year, we had 5 of 16. and 2 distinguished areas last year, which was 40%. So we want to make sure that the DCP is discussed at the club level, because a lot of the club members do not know what DCP is, and we want to make sure that they have that understanding. I don't know if I'm out of time or not, but that is the big things that we talked about. We only got down to additional goals before we stopped, but we talked about the Zoom accounts, and if there's any additional, I can always try to reach over to Division E if there's any issues with clubs overlapping and things like that. But I do have the Division Zoom account, and we haven't had any issues thus far. And some clubs even have their own accounts, but that's up to their discretion if they want to stay with their club accounts, or let me know if they need the Division account, Zoom account. And I think that's about it for my presentation.
Any questions or comments that people have for Shed and his team? Shed, what did you see as some of the big impediments to really moving forward and being, you're not reaching that same 40% level? Were there any big situations that you thought were going to hold you back?
Once again, I think the only reason why, and it's just my opinion, the only reason why I think that we didn't meet pretty much the same goals as last year is because of the COVID. Once again, like I said, we was 2 of 16, but we had 5 of 16 last year with 2 distinguished areas. I think if we was back to in person, we would at least met that same goal, about 40% of what we met last year.
Okay.
But it's all about meeting the club members' needs on both accounts, Zoom and in-person meetings.
Any other questions or comments? Shed, you got them scared. Peter, do you want to go next?
Sure. Be happy to. We did not do anything like what Shed did. So we're on the handle, not the point of the sphere. One of the things that we did was we discussed where we were, and we think that K is in the worst situation. Things are just not working well. A lot of clubs have evaporated. Membership is down. Connections are down. So we talked immediately about what are the first steps in terms of engagement with the clubs for the area directors. One of the area directors is very experienced and knows a lot, and the rest of them, like myself, are in the position for the first time. So there's a lot of learning. We went over that. There were a couple of suggestions. One was how to start new clubs, and we weren't clear how to do that. We talked a little bit about having a strategy, and we thought that strategy probably would start with Dan Arbuckle. But one of the things we thought about was, could there be some sort of an out there a meetup post that says interested in Toastmasters, and then send that in and collect the names and see if that would introduce us to some new individuals. Secondly was how to keep in contact. Is it possible to take the district calendar and make that subscribable? So when something's put up on there, it automatically would show up in people's own calendars. So we're thinking that would be a possibility. Next, with the advice from Al Voorhees, which was very helpful, he said the district plan should come after the club plans and after the area plans, and we should build from the club level up. So we did not fill out the form, but we went in a different direction, establishing how to be in contact and in communication. Finally, I want to thank Stephanie Schrader for her help and advice at the beginning, coming along, and some cautions about hybrid clubs and what can be done. So that's the short of where we are. I'm very excited about the team going forward. Everybody was there, but we were missing one person. So we're pulling it together, and our goal is worst to first. Thank you.
Great. So we have Jerome, Scott, or someone to represent Division A. Does anybody else want to go next? Well, first off, excuse me. Any questions or comments to Peter? My apologies.
This is
All right,
Joanne.
Peter. Oh, I was gonna say, Peter, you're going for the tip of the spear.
Nice point.
Peter, I just had a quick question for you. When you were meeting some or listing off some of your ideas or strategies for, like you had said, the meetup to attract Toastmasters, the next one, I missed kind of what I heard calendar invites or something like that. What was the crux of that?
Oh, we're trying to find out how to stay in touch with all events. And our tech consultant said, why don't we make the district calendar on the website subscribable so that when something is posted there, it'll automatically go out to those who want it on their own personal calendars.
Well, how about you hook him up with Terry Ann and see if he can help her with her team to get that done.
I've already sent a little chat to Terry Ann to start that conversation.
Ooh,
Thank you.
ooh, we may have a new tip. Good job, Peter. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments?
Just wanted to say anything you need, Peter, just let me know, whatever I can do to help.
Thank you. I'll continue to do that, Dan.
Jerome, Scott, or Division A? Is someone going to represent Division A? That'd be great. Jerome says he's ready to go. Jerome, you're up.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I like to always say that I'm up for a good challenge, and starting off the division with no area directors is one for the book. So I should probably change my motto saying I'm up for a new challenge or for a good challenge. But to that point, yes, we have a game plan in place, one of which is part A is to find and identify members of the Toastmasters Society who are looking for leadership roles, and to fill those slots for the area director. While that's going on, helping these clubs that are just item away from hitting the distinguished levels. We've discussed how some clubs are lacking members, and one of the suggestions for that, now that things are starting to open up a little bit more, is to set up little booths or tables in malls in our area, just to have like a Toastmaster banner there, have some members there that can, like the VP of membership, to be able to discuss what Toastmasters is about, help people through the registration application process, and then just have people there be excited about growing their clubs. We've done that. I'm in my closed club at Cerner, where we set up a table at the cafeteria, and people that walk by, we will say, hey, you know, this is there when they inquire, say, hey, what do you guys are about? You let them know when an open house is going to be taking place, and let them know when our meetings are going to be held. Other items like that, other items on the success plan is discussing some of the challenges. As mentioned earlier, COVID-19 was unexpected and actually shift things to the virtual world. So actually taking that trial and actually converting it to something beneficial, saying how we can start, as I forgot who mentioned earlier, having hybrid meetings, and that should drive membership numbers up. That should also make it available for people to attend different Toastmaster meetings in locations that aren't readily accessible. So being able to leverage that, being able to explain how to use those different technological platforms, payment options, talking about online payments such as Zoom or Venmo, PayPal, so memberships can pay their dues, because to this point, I don't think members are able to pay for themselves on the Toastmaster website. So having those options available, just being able to keep a good open channel for knowledge transfer and knowledge sharing, and that should lead to a good and successful year. Back over to you, Rick.
Thanks. Any questions or comments for Jerome? Jerome's everybody's afraid to speak because they're afraid you'll make him an area director.
So Jerome, what are your thoughts about do you have a plan on how to find area directors?
Yeah.
It's kind of early for you to have a plan. However, with nobody in place, it's kind of a disadvantage for you.
I think he did 2
Oh,
areas
sure.
at one time. Were you thinking about doing 4 this time? No, I'm kidding.
There you go, Jerome. You'll be a one-man show for the entire division.
Yeah, I don't want to be a one-man show. What I'm planning on doing is reaching out to the different clubs and seeing if there's anybody in those roles. Some of the clubs I'm not familiar with, so that'll be a good opportunity to introduce myself and also see if someone's willing to step up to fill the area director roles.
In the meantime, if you need those club visits made, do you see everybody on the screen?
Yeah.
Reach one.
Right.
And I offered to be an area director for a different area in R this time, but Dan was reading the rules and regulations, and it says you can only be an area director once or twice. And I thought, well, I was an area director in R62. Why couldn't I be area director in R61? And it'd be a different title. But it was.
However, with you being assistant of the division director, you still could make those club visits,
Sure.
and we could help.
So, so I think as a district, we're going to step in to help Jerome. I know, Jerome, on your chat box is already full of people saying, sign me up, coach. I'm ready to go. Now, don't laugh, because I have sent in that email and to chat, and I expect everybody else to do the same, or we'll find the spear, we'll find you. Gene, do you want to talk about Division A?
Well, you know what, Rick? There is absolutely nothing I would like to talk about more than Division A and how excited we are about being a part of not only Division A, but District 22 family. So we are very excited. We're looking forward to it. Today we had an opportunity to talk about the different clubs that we would be meeting and kind of coming up with some game plans. We also looked at a potential 3-year growth plan to where we get Dodge City up and running. Then we're going to be starting looking at maybe getting Garden City, Liberal, and look at also Great Bend. So we might even actually get an area out here in Southwest Kansas that we can actually have as our own. That's kind of a long-term plan right now, but we are super excited. We want to be a part of it. We're looking forward to getting to meet our my wife's team of area directors for the area director team. So getting to know each of the club presidents, their vice president of education, and so on, just so we can figure out exactly what are the clubs looking for, what are they needing. We were told, and we can see from a lot of the stats, that these clubs are pretty well defined. They've been around for quite some time. So we've got a lot of great information and wealth of knowledge that we're looking forward to also being able to tap into and seeing what we can get to, you know, bring that unity that we need throughout the entire district, the division, and hopefully have some of those club members come out here to the west and help us out as we start to build up our clubs out here as well. That's kind of what we talked about, Rick. Those were the things. Pretty excited though. Glad to be a part of this family.
Well, welcome to the family. Thank you for stepping up. I would ask, does anybody have any questions or comments for Gene? Go ahead, Shed.
Yeah, I know Gene and I have already been working together, but once we start going back to in person and we start doing training, if I'm doing anything like out in Hayes or something, I'll make sure I let you know. That's probably closer for you to come out there and we could partner up and do some.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. You've been awesome. You guys have been real awesome. Thanks for adopting us while we've been trying to get ourselves up. So we appreciate everything in Junction City. So thank you.
Oh, no problem. And everyone in the district knows, you know, I come out for a quick lunch or something. So, you know, that's so good.
All right.
Okay, if we can stop the love fest, any other questions or comments? Oh,
You're
you
going to go to the
too.
Cozy Inn in Salina. Let me know. I'll meet you there.
Oh my God. Remember, Toastmasters has values. Scott, do you want to talk to us about Division S?
I am ready to talk to you about Division S. And first of all, I have to tell you, this is my first opportunity today to meet one of my area directors. And I'll preface by saying I'll never forget the day I met Stephen. Stephen Ilbert is the S71 director, and while I'm talking about him, he missed the first part of our meeting as his daughter hurt herself last night at grandma's house, fell off a bunk bed, got some stitches, and after all that, Stephen was still ready to tag in and come in, even though he'd been through a trying night. The other director is Lori Pong for S73, and then Romeo. It'll be my first opportunity to work with Romeo. And in our group, we had the privilege of having Christy Prophet on board helping us. And I'll have to tell you guys just candidly, as this is a new position for me, there's 3 very important letters that I bring to the table, and they're IDK. I don't know. I have a lot to learn in this position. I just humbly say I have a lot to learn. But what a team. I'm anxious to work with them. Christy kind of helped us on our plan. And as our Toastmasters plans can be, some of the words came off like buzzwords, integrity and empowering and things like that. But we had good conversations about that. So within that, there is a couple of things I can talk about. One of the important things that we're going to stress in all clubs is safety. Safety of our members, simple things like going out to your car, making sure that it's a well-lit area. You know, it's the basics, and it's the world we live in. And also the safety of allowing members to know that when they step in front of the groups, every single group, that they are empowered and ability to just speak clearly, not be afraid, and feel safe, that it's a safe place to talk. And that tied in with it as well. Another thing that came up I think is relevant is the multicultural aspects of Toastmasters and what it could be. I mean, just in Springfield, Missouri, we have a large segment of Chinese students at the college. They're one of our 5 colleges, and they've tagged in with us from time to time, and there's different things like there. And when we were talking to the Library Center about actually being grandfathered in long-term, multicultural, that part was the most fascinating part of it to them, and allowed us to continue in our space, which was good. Another thing we talked about is how we're going to communicate as leaders as a team to make sure that we're doing things right. And we kind of concur that text and email is ideal. Zoom is perfect. And I made a commitment as the director. All of our communications will be 2 things. They'll be relevant and short. It makes it just so much easier as not to be too much of a time crunch away from your family. So also it'll allow the meetings to continue. Christy gave us some good counsel on what to ask for as a district, that we can ask from TI to help us to grow, because that's our focus, is to grow, and also not just what to ask for, but who to ask. And her hand extended the whole time to be a resource for us, as I know all of you have been as well. And this meeting has been fun. I can't wait to become either the middle of the spear. I'm not sure where I land just yet, but I'm excited to learn more about all of that. All of us have growth expectations. And I did, even though we're a new team, imagine with me, if you will, the first time you're in charge of a team. Here's your team, welcome, establish your plan, present your plan, and it to be the long-range plan you really want. So we kind of held back on that, but our expectations as a team are to grow. And so what I asked my area directors to come back to me with was what they feel like in their area is capable of growth, and what's a realistic number. I have my own number already assigned. I won't tell you what that number is for our area, but I have my own area in mind of where we could grow. And I know it's a challenge to start, cultivate, and really have an excellent long-term Toastmaster group. But anything is possible. And as Christy said, if you aim for the moon, you'll land among the stars. And I thought that was beautiful. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to expand. We've started on our plan as of today, and we're going to continue to grow it forward. But in our area, which is Springfield, Missouri, and beyond, it's going to be a great year. And 19 is behind us. The COVID, everything else is behind, and we are transitioning away to a new way. And I was mentioned in our meeting that we were having that when I first got into Toastmasters, one of the things was talked about was the possibility of virtual meetings. And in my mind, I thought, well, we're never going to do that. Wrong. We're doing them now, and it's awesome. And as I continues to move forward, what a great venue to make officer meetings so much more easy. You know, you don't have to get everybody together from multiple ways. They can all, hey, my bedroom at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's done. I promise to wear a shirt or possibly smoke a cigar. That being said, back to you, Rick, and thank you everyone for a great meeting.
Great, thanks. Anybody have any questions or comments for Scott? Scott, just remember, we're all just a phone call away or an email away. I will talk about Division L. We started by talking about the area director training, and both Shelley and Janine thought that was very valuable. They're new area directors or newer area directors, and they thought it was very positive. So hats off to Christine and Al, to you as well, because you covered so much stuff for the area directors. We talked about we'll have monthly meetings. We think the monthly meetings are a great way to go, and Zoom does that very well. Then we talked about how we operate, and frankly, this is where we went downhill. We said we would start with positive intent, and that was very good. We would follow the Toastmaster core values of respect, integrity, service, and excellence, and then, of course, be supportive of each other. And then I put a challenge out to my area directors that I wanted them to challenge me at least 2 or 3 times a year, that they should not, just yes, 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 and really challenge me. And that may be the stupidest thing I've done in a long time, because their response was only 2 or 3 times. I think Janine got 2 in this one meeting, so they will be challenging me through the year. We went through a situation analysis going club by club, and we had 3 big areas that we know as a club, as a division, we need to address. One is pathways. Some of our clubs have absolutely 0 earned credits for pathways. They may have some in the old program, but none in the new program. And we know that maybe the Vice President of Education doesn't know they need to go to submit awards or maybe some kind of pathways training. But Joanne's whole goal of pathways adoption, because the old program is gone, is certainly a challenge for our division, because we have a few clubs that haven't done that. 2, it's on membership. A lot of our clubs are corporate clubs, and the corporations are now saying, we ain't paying no more. So we know that's going to be an issue. So fundraising might be one of the things we want to address, but we're concerned about membership and certainly going out there and mining the territory for getting new members. So we talked about a couple of ideas of doing that. And the third thing was the training. One of the concerns that was raised is if you've been to the TLI in the past, they can get to be redundant. And that wasn't me speaking, that was my area directors, that, if you've been treasurer before and you're treasurer again, why would you go to training? The big hook last year of Aaron Beverly was a big plus for everybody. We really loved that. So what we challenged, and Joanne was part of this discussion, we want to make sure that we have a big hook that can draw people. Now, you can't always get Aaron Beverly, but we suggested for this next TLI that we really hit the issue of Zoom. So, for instance, Janine's in the Hallmark Club, they just started back meeting again. They had taken a 3-month break, and they started going with Zoom, and they would love to hear some of the best practices. There's not a club out there that couldn't grow by learning more about some of the best practices. And then also I challenged the whole hybrid meeting discussion. We also talked about the Rotary Alliance being a big hook, and a lot of people don't know about that, how best to do that. And then for our treasurers training, one, either fundraising because the corporate clubs aren't getting the money anymore, or just how to collect dues online. It's not as simple as, you could have someone send me a check, but in the way we are today, there's got to be a better way. And our treasurers both said they wanted to hear that very clearly. So we're excited about the opportunity. We don't want to be part of the spear. We're going to be the gun. So we're the gun, we're fully loaded, and we're ready to blast away any targets that get in our way. Any questions or comments?
I have one. So if you have a member that just doesn't, he still wants to pay his dues, he still wants to be a member of Toastmaster, he just doesn't want to go pathways. So I know 1 June, well, we already passed 1 June already. So how are we handling that situation? How would you handle that situation?
There are some members that don't ever want to give speeches. And if that's what they're there for, I mean, each person, and we talked about that, not that specific issue specifically, But I think Shelley brought up that different people join for different reasons. And if they're only coming for the fellowship and that's what they want to do or participate in table topics, I wouldn't have an issue with that because we said we were going to respect the different objectives people have. So it wouldn't bother me a bit.
I just want to throw out there, I still encourage them to at least do their assessment. And then it's up to them if they want to give speeches or not. I try to encourage them to try to at least do this.
Sure, and you hope that people meeting their goals and going through different things, they'll get excited about it. But once again, some people join just for fellowship.
Rick, another aspect to that is that you can get into pathways and maybe the guy misses having the physical manual in front of him. So you can take that option because I know that appeals to many people, even though they don't talk about it much. So find a way to get him and start it anyway. I think he's paid for a pathway as long as he's a member. Am I right?
It's interesting you mentioned that, Al, because I know in some of the clubs I'm in, we have people that don't have internet access. You can laugh about that, but if you live out in Pleasant Hill, there ain't a lot of places you're going to get the coffee shop internet. So it's not as easy as, and we've talked about actually going out and buying some of the paths. I didn't realize they were as great until Kim just recently mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard some real positive things about the written.
To your point, until Kim mentioned it, if you read online, we would be stupid to go buy this printed pathways. That's how it's positioned. But when Kim said such positive things, we'll go out and buy some paths for our club.
But what did you hear that was negative about the manuals? Because they've always been available. It just is an extra cost for the printing.
Okay, that's one negative.
Yeah.
That's one negative.
Well, you could always get it online and print it offline and use your own ink and paper.
Sure,
There's always that option.
Sure could. But when they publish statistics that say 99.9% of the people are online, gosh, why would you, look at the magazine. That's all I'd say.
And then that goes back to if you have a division budget and you have a successful club, you can say, hey, maybe we'll give you an incentive and you can buy a package for this individual.
I will say when it comes, when you order them, you get level 1 and level 2 to begin with. And it's not until you turn in the level 2 that they send you the rest of the manuals. So that's a disadvantage, but they're beautiful, especially 1 and 2, because we do those. They're part of every path.
But all the people that bitched about the original manual that only had 10 assignments, that's still 6 grade assignments. That's no problem at all.
Exactly. I'd recommend, it was $20, something like that, for me to
$20
order
extra.
path this way. And it was, I did it just to see what they looked like, and I was really impressed.
Right. That's great. Any other questions or comments?
Hey,
Yeah.
Rich.
Lori Pong, let me get Lori, then we'll go to you, Janine.
I was just going to comment that there are a couple of paths that they do not have manuals on.
That's correct.
And I believe you made a comment that it was either you or the gentleman before you, but where the VPs of education may not be.
They may not know they need to submit a award when someone finishes a level.
Correct. My comment is that whenever somebody hits submit, I've been VP of education. I currently am for Springfield Toastmasters until the end of the month. I get an email every time somebody submits saying that they've completed a level.
Yes. Yes. So there's 2 things there. Right. So if someone actually does the assessment at the end of a level, you'll get that email. People aren't doing the assessment now because they can go on to the next level. So 1, they're not doing the assessment, so you're not getting that, hey, you have to approve the level completion. And 2, even though you approve the level completion, you still have to go into the separate system, and some VPEs don't know to do that, and I've seen clubs that. So, those are the 2 misunderstandings that people need to understand better.
And one
Anybody
thing
else?
too, and I'll get back to you, Janine, sorry. With regard to Shed's question about the person that didn't want to do pathways, one other thing is to make sure that they're getting involved, at least in the meeting roles and everything. And because you had said, Rick, some people might just join for fellowship. Well, I think as long, making sure that they're active in participating, whether if they aren't doing the speeches, hopefully you can get them into working some of those projects, but at least participating in the meeting through roles is a key piece of it as well.
Sure.
Being an active member.
Yeah, and I was just
Janine,
thinking about thinking about taking baby steps. Hey, just fill out the assessment. That'll
Yes.
help with the adoption, and then once you get them in there, they'll start.
Get him, Janine. Get him, Janine. Get him.
So so I guess I'm learning from this team. I shouldn't be respectful and raise my hand. So one of the things that our team also shared with Joanne regarding TLI is we would not be good servant leaders, Andre, if we got together for some leadership training and didn't address the COVID pandemic that's going on and racial injustice happening in our country, in our world. And so just finding a way to think about how to incorporate that in our training, and then what can we as a Toastmasters organization do to help and support people in that area.
And Janine, I remember you said it was very refreshing for you when Aaron Beverly came, that you said I could look at someone who was like you, who looked a little bit like you, and they were being successful. Yeah. And by the way, I would make that same comment to all of our clubs. If we're not at least mentioning it or talking about it somewhere or putting it in table topics, Shed, I know that came up in your Junction City Club recently. We should be open to that. And once again, this is where our club said we're going to assume positive intent. And, there's other thing. Yes, Kim.
I'd just like to say that at an international level, if you look at the champions of the international.
We discussed that. We went through piece by piece.
Yep, you'll see far more that look like you than that look like me, to be really honest. Yep. And that's the brilliant thing at that level.
Yeah,
Mark,
I also
Aaron's and the Shundas of the world.
Yeah, I also shared that when we hosted a live viewing of the competition where Aaron won last year, when I went back to my home club, I told them I was so excited because I saw so many people on that stage that looked like me. That motivated me that I could be up on that stage one day.
And we expect you to, because you're in Division L, the machine gun of the district, mowing down the competition. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? So what I would challenge each division director, the success plans are a useful document. Go ahead and try to fill out those. We talked about some of the specific next steps. I'll be sending introductory emails, making calls to our new clubs, et cetera, et cetera. We've got some for Joanne. We talked about the training and that sort of thing. So we had specific next steps, and we think that's a living, breathing document that we'll be trying to keep updated during the year. And would love to make sure we're discussing that with the different division directors on how that's progressing and what we're finding. But once again, pathways, membership, and really making the training relevant or at least exciting. So it wasn't just, by the way, if I could on training, it wasn't just that we have a hook, we got to sell the hook. We've got to go out there and sell the hook so people know that there's a reason for them to come. And with that, I'm going to turn control back to our moderator, Joanne Monroe, who I think will either give us a break or take us to the next session.